Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Coach Pony podcast. I'm so glad you're here with us today. You're here with Christie. I'm the somewhat serious one, and Bobbi, the founder of Date Like a Grownup. She has the good hair and the good insight. And we are so excited to be with you guys and be with our community. We are here to answer your burning questions about your coaching and your coaching business. And the theme of today is difficult clients and handling them, signing them, managing them one-to-one and in groups. And so we can't wait to dig into this topic because it is a good one. As always, because right now we are live, you can ask us questions by putting your questions in the chat. It doesn't live forever. It just shows up while we're live and we can bring them on screen. And if you've got a question for us down the road, you can comment on one of our videos or email us at hello@CoachPony with your question, and we'll see if maybe we can answer it on an upcoming podcast. So with that, Bobbi, go ahead and say hello.
Hello. Hi.
So I want to talk about dealing with difficult clients because it's something that can really impact your business in a much bigger way than you might even be thinking. Like, it's obviously not a great thing to have a client that you're struggling with, but that energy and that stress can leak into other parts of your business and make you feel bad about your coaching, make you dread the entire day where you have a difficult client. It could impact your group coaching experience. So this is a really, really juicy topic. And so, Bobbi, I wanted to dive right into the questions. And here's the first one. So the question one, what if someone joins your program but is not a fit for your program? What do you do at that point after they've already paid and started to participate? So I'm going to let you go ahead and answer this one, Bobbi, if you don't mind. Please dive in.
Okay. I do want to first say that I agree with you 1,000% about this is something like we don't want to deal with because it's hard. It seems hard, and most of us aren't really good at, saying no to somebody so directly, but it's really important to do. And I learned something very early on in my teaching and training career. If you don't talking about a group, if you don't handle a difficult client, if you don't handle a difficult participant, the rest of the group is going to be really pissed at you. They're going to suffer because you're not technically doing your job handling somebody. So we have to do it, hard as it is. So what do you do if somebody's not a fit? And I assume, Christie, they're talking about a group program.
They didn't say. So why don't you answer it? Why don't we answer it both ways? So let's say they're not a fit for your group program. What do you do in that case?
Okay. Yeah. I've had this happen a couple times. And of course, my group programs, as probably a lot of yours, are we niche because one reason, because when we do group programs, people feel safe. People feel like they're amongst their own. They're amongst people that understand them and have some of the same issues and goals. So if somebody's in there and they're disruptive, or you're seeing that it's not for them, then what I have to do is deal with them personally. So I schedule a call with them and I ask them, kind of putting it on themselves, how are you enjoying the program? What are you getting out of the program? Is the program giving you, am I giving you what you need, what you thought you invested in? And every time the answer is no, because that's why somebody is being disruptive, or that's why somebody's, it's the one, Christie, it's the person that goes, oh, I already know that. Oh, I already did that. It didn't work, right?
Okay.
Those are the people that are really tough in group programs. Oh, yeah. No, you're wrong. What I do with that personal call is I help them understand it's not right for them. I try. And with that, then I always have something I've planned in advance to offer them instead. So I've had this happen twice over the many, many years, and both of them went to private coaching. So I offered them private coaching. I gave them the credit for what they paid for the group program, and usually a little bit more, right? So it's, kind of more enticing. And I move them into something that works better. And once I actually gave someone their money back. Because again, you want them and you want it to work, but after a couple sessions or something, if it's not, you've got to manage that problem.
Yeah. So you gave a lot of good tips. Let me recap and make sure we've got them. So if someone's disruptive in the group and it's been a couple of sessions and you're not really able to, get them engaged in a positive way, you have a private one-on-one call with them, and then you ask them, like, am I serving you? How is this experience for you? Am I giving you what you need? Which they'll basically say no to, because
Mm.
otherwise they wouldn't be
Right.
disruptive. And then at that point, you offer them another resource, in many cases working with you one-on-one, so you can give them that tailored experience that they may want, or even just saying that's okay, like maybe a book or another coach, or just giving them a refund. And if you do work
Hmm.
with them one-on-one, you actually, so if your group program was like $1,000 and your private coaching is $4,000, you would actually credit the group coaching part to the private coaching, so they'd only
Sure.
pay you three or even a little bit less to continue with the private coach. And so that's how you get them to feel good about that switch over. Did I get it all, or
Sure.
was there anything else I missed?
Of course, you're so much more eloquent than I. Yes, that was a very good synopsis of my rambling. But yeah, and again, it doesn't happen very often. If you do things like say if you're really clear in your promotion and your offer, like who the program is for and who it's not for, it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
But when it does, you and I have had conversations, right, about what do I do with this person.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you nailed it.
Yeah. And so just to tell everyone a story from my end, I agree with you. So I obviously spend a lot of time working with coaches. And so it's very rare for me to have someone who's not a good fit in my programs or who feels disruptive. But once I did have someone in one of my group programs who definitely had no coach training at all, and it was a man, and he had told me, actually, in an offline conversation, people often found him very disruptive and abrupt. That was his personal style. And he was in the group and he was well past the refund period. He'd gotten a lot out of the program, but he was very negative always. And any way he framed something, he was consistently negative, and it just brought down the tone of the group. And I dreaded it anytime he posted, because he never had anything positive to say, even if he was asking for help, right? Or even if he was posing a question, it was always framed in like the worst possible light. And he actually, like a year after being in the program, he did ask for a refund, but he was well past the refund stage. And initially we were like, no, we need to be fair to everyone. But it got to the point where I felt like he was so disruptive and such a bad experience in our programs that I did end up proactively refunding him. And I said, it's just, I think, like, you got free coaching for this whole period of time. Take it. You mentioned there's another coach you're interested in working with. Take this money and go work with them. They might be a better fit for you. But it got to the point where, like, I felt like it was stressing me out, right? To have this person in the group and to manage it. And it was just better
Yeah.
to like find an elegant way to invite him to leave. Now, under our group rules, I could have just kicked him out of the group because I felt like he was actually violating our group rules. And he did, in fact, do something very, very negative to someone else that would have allowed me to just kick him out. But I also knew he had told me he was struggling with some things in his life. And so I just tried to be as graceful as possible. But it really can impact you. And so it's okay to handle it in whatever way is going to keep your mental state calm, as well as support the group. So whatever decision you come up with, just keep those things forefront in mind. So Bobbi, a follow-up question to this is, clearly, what if you have a coach, or excuse me, a coach, what if you have a client who isn't a fit for private coaching? What do you do then?
Mm.
How do you fire them? So have you ever fired a client?
I have to admit, this is this is the most difficult. In, I don't know, 15 years, I fired two clients, and one of them was, it was more mutual, right? It was more mutual. Sometimes, but should I tell this story? I'm going to be really honest and tell a really difficult story.
Okay.
I had a client who, private client, had paid me. I mean, and by the second session, I could tell that she was in need of therapy. She was really in need of deep therapy. And while being a coach is a little bit like being a therapist, we have to really, I think, be clear about where the line is, right? So like this man that you had talked about, Christie, like, you knew he had things going on in his life, and he had a difficult, probably with his difficult personality, he had issues. So we do our best, but there comes a point at which you're not qualified to help this person,
Mm.
right? And you just have to take that responsibility and say, I'm not, and here's your money, and here's resources. So I had a woman that was clearly, the problem is by breaking off the relationship, by firing her, it was worse for her because that was her problem. That was her issue. This really deep insecurity and this deep feeling of victimization and this deep feeling of abandonment. And here her coach is saying, I'm abandoning you. Yeah. It was pretty awful. And this is, we're talking 10 years ago, and I still, yeah, it's still really hard.
So how did you have that
But
conversation?
I was very clear with her. I stayed with her for a couple sessions and tried to really gain her trust. And I told her the truth. I told her that I mean, the hamburger method, right? Say something good, say something nice, say something positive, tell them what you need, check in with them.
Mm.
That's what I teach in my coaching, in my date coaching. So I talked to her about how much I enjoyed working with her, how she's made, done this, done that, accomplished this, that kind of. Um, and that I really wanted her to get the best support possible so that she can meet the goals that we're sharing together. And then I didn't think I was the right person. So it was very much, it's not you, it's me. She was shredded. She was gutted. It was really hard. But for her sake, I could have kept her money and kept going. But for her sake, I wasn't the right person. And I told her I wasn't the right person. I gave her references. I gave her referrals to, I think, 3 therapists that I knew. So it was hard. It was like one of the hardest things I had to do. I followed up with her a few times, and the last time she just didn't respond. So to tell you the truth, and this is another lesson, right, Christie? At some point, we do what we can, and then we have to let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
You
very
know?
true. We aren't responsible for their lives, even though some of us who are terrible at the skill of coaching detachment, which is, I think, both of us, sometimes feel that responsibility. But yeah, at some
Yeah.
point, you have to just let it go. And yeah, it's hard, but once you make that decision and take that action, it is such a weight off. It really is.
Uh, It is. And even though like now I feel this angst about it, at the time, it was going back to the first thing that you said. At the time, it was just affecting my whole life. And that meant it was affecting every client that I worked with. Every client that I served was being affected by this. So to synopsize, I think you have to make a decision. It's a hard decision, but it's your responsibility to do it, just like what we talked about before. And the idea is to help them understand, even realize themselves that you're not helping them, that you're not the best person for them, and that you really do care about them. And the referrals, I think, are very, very obviously, you must do that. You can't
Yeah.
just let someone go and say, good luck. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you could synopsize better.
No, I think that was a really good synopsis. And I want to add something too. I don't want anyone to panic about this because in group coaching, when you're not necessarily signing people up and having an individual call with everyone, sometimes you sell group coaching that way, by the way, but sometimes and you don't talk to everyone. They can enroll themselves. You might get someone who's not a fit for whatever reason that happens. In private coaching, you should be talking to every single person before you take them on as a client. And so it's much less likely for you to end up with someone who's not a fit because you will have had that call and you'll kind of get a vibe. And so people ask me how I know if it's a good fit or not all the time. And what I don't coach privately anymore, but when I did, there's always a time when you want to take a client because you're like, I need the money, right? Especially when you're new,
Yeah,
like, oh gosh,
always.
you kind of, you have that. And like, that's normal. You're human. But what it was for me is it would almost feel like a red flag in my mind. Trust your intuition on this stuff. If there's something slightly off, whether the person just doesn't feel like a good personality match to you, or you can just tell from talking with them that they're not really looking for your type of help, or they have maybe the wrong expectations around what coaching is or what it could do for them. And, just continue asking questions, having those conversations, but trust yourself. Usually you'll feel something in your body. Again, for me, I would just almost see a red flag in my mind. And that was like the sign of like, oh, this person's not a fit for me. And so, trust yourself in that and don't take a client that doesn't feel right, because truly it is not worth it. You will regret it. Like Bobbi and I both, I definitely had a client that I felt a little bit of a red flag on, but they were just so perfect for the niche and I really thought I could help them. But every time it came time to work with her, I started to dread it, because she just wasn't taking the coaching particularly seriously. And I felt like she wasn't making the progress that I knew she could make. And it's just some other things, but it really leaked into every part of my business. And so just be careful, because those clients, they end up costing you more than they give you financially. So it's better to, if you really feel off about a client, just don't take them, because
It's
truly
true.
someone else will come
Yeah.
along that's a better fit. So what were you going to
Yeah.
say, Bobbi?
Um, how'd you know? Uh, I think this is a good case for like Love School and some of the programs you did, in the way that it was very, very personal work. It was super important that there was mutual trust and a dynamic that really worked in the group. And so I did a lot of work to qualify people. I had a pretty detailed application. I did a one-on-one talk with them and like an interview. I'm to the point where people were like, please, can I get in your program? I mean, who doesn't want to hear that, right?
Yeah.
Can I pay you that $6,000? But it's a lot of work and sometimes you don't want to do it. Like you kind of want to go, oh, cross your fingers, hope everyone gets along. It's not worth it. Do the work up front in those kinds of really intensive group programs.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm in a
Hmm.
mastermind right now, and I feel like there's someone who signed up, but definitely kind of doesn't want to be there. And interacting with her is always a bit of a downer. And so I sort of wish that the person who was curating it had talked with her a little bit more about, is this really the right place for you, right? Because I can feel it even
Hmm.
in those interactions. Um, so I want to get into another question, which around group coaching actually, or anytime you're doing a workshop. Let's say you have someone who just by nature of their personality is disruptive. Like they're clearly like wanting to be there. Sometimes, some people are like really big talkers or interrupters, or they might be super long winded. So when they do, participate in the group, they sort of Shanghai the conversation, or they're always speaking up and other people don't have the chance. And it's not that they shouldn't be there. It's just that their personal interactive style can be a little disruptive or limit others from being able to participate. So do you have any tips on that, Bobbi?
I do. And again, we have to manage those people. First of all, at the very beginning, and you talked about your group rules, Christie, right? So when you're going through at the beginning, talking about group rules, it's a really important um, part of it to talk about being respectful of other people that need support. That we all do it a little different way. One of the things that I do is I get literal um, buy-in, like with a hand, with voice, that they will be aware of that and they will be respectful of other people's time. So I also ask for permission to interrupt them,
Mm,
and especially with women, right? Because I work with all women. So what I say is, you know how we are. We like to tell stories, and sometimes our stories are really valuable, and sometimes our stories are just that, they're stories. Do I have permission to interrupt you uh, if I feel like we're not moving towards our goal, our common goal? And I get a verbal yes, you have. So it really creates this consciousness. And there are times when I have to go, Susie, let's go ahead and move on,
yeah.
and they get it. So setting those boundaries at the beginning and those rules, I think it's very helpful.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the easiest way to have a good group experience is to set some guidelines and some boundaries to the group as part of the onboarding. And I love what you said, and it's something I stole from you, asking people if I can interrupt them. And I've gotten really bad about remembering to say it in some of our group calls because I have certain groups that I work with over time, and so I've said it a few times, but I don't say it all the time, and I
Yeah.
really should say it all the time because I do interrupt. Because you're right, sometimes you just only have a certain amount of time, and you want to get to more than just that person, and so you have to create
Mhm.
that expectation that it's allowed and it's okay and it's actually a supportive thing to do. And that really
Mhm.
allows you to control the group. So for everyone listening, just think about your group rules, but steal Bobbi's tip of asking, you know, is it okay, as your
Permission.
coach and just the interest of the whole group, sometimes I might interrupt you when only in the interest of time, not because, what you're saying isn't valuable, but just so that we can serve everyone. And people really do understand that. And I find they tend to be pretty supportive of that. Yeah. Any other tips
Mhm.
on that, Bobbi? I mean, that's a great one. So I'm like going back to the well because it was so good, but didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's very much use a timer,
Mm,
use a timer. There's times when you're doing like some kind of introduction. First of all, don't just introduce yourself, give them very specific questions to answer. Ask closed questions with the certain people that tend to give a lot of stories, right? So, as a coach, asking open questions is a really valuable tool, but you also have to be conscious of when it's appropriate to ask a closed question so that you can keep going, right?
mm,
Like a group thing. Think of ways, there's things that are, not icebreakers, but like wrap ups. There's tools, and you could use AI for this, or check online. There's all kinds of really great tools that help people participate, but sets a really clear boundary. Like in 3 words, tell me what you're feeling about today's session,
mm.
as opposed to as opposed to so how are y'all feeling about today's session, Susie? And Susie's taking 5 minutes, right?
Yep.
And a timer works with that too. So there's things like that that are technical, like facilitation tools that you'll learn and you'll practice and you'll see what works. And kind of like what you said, Christy, like for different groups, maybe different things work.
Yeah. But I love what you said too about the can I interrupt you back to that works for one-on-one coaching as well. Right? Like setting that you can
Mhm.
take some of what we shared here and you can apply it to one-on-one clients. If you've got a client who maybe uses up a lot of their time just sharing, stuff that isn't that relevant to the coaching session or can kind of get into a story and that it doesn't always serve them to kind of be in that story for a long time. So please feel free to use that tip and take it with your private coaching clients. And yeah, I love everything you shared there, Bobbi, which is awesome. And so, with that, I think that gets us to the end of this particular topic on dealing with difficult clients and managing them. So, I want to get to one moment. Hang on. Christie and Bobbi business and life tips. um,
Uh,
Bobbi, I think it's my turn for the business tip. So, one thing that I have been really working on and has always been an important part of my business is maintaining my community. But as an introvert, sometimes I find it to be challenging to like talk to people. And so, many of you probably already do this, but if you don't, I just love Voxer for asymmetric conversations. So, when I'm out taking a walk, I can listen to a podcast and sometimes I can spend 5 or 10 minutes voxing someone and just kind of having that conversation with them without having to like set up a time and get on a call and be a human. It can just sort of happen when I feel up to it in the moment, and we can kind of maintain those connections. So, just throwing that out there as an idea, like I'm trying really hard right now to talk to someone in my network every single day, whether that's on email, on Slack, on Vox, or in a live chat in real life, whatever it might be. So I encourage everyone, every coach, your network is going to be crucial to your business success. So it's worth spending 5 or 10 minutes a day just making sure you're reaching out, staying on people's radar, staying connected, staying visible. But for those introverts, you don't always have to do it in real life. It can be asynchronous. And sometimes just hearing the voice is really powerful and it kind of builds that strong connection. So that was a long winded tip. Bobbi, what is your life tip?
that's like when you call and you're so happy that they don't answer and you get to leave a message because it counts.
Yes, it does
right?
count.
It counts as a ping, right? You heard my voice. I made the call. Next,
Yeah.
um, my tip is kind of a business life tip, and that is find yourself a Christie. Um, it's really important, especially in your doing your own business, no matter what it is, but especially I think with coaching, it's important to have that person who you can count on, not just to talk business with, but to de-stress with. Like everything you and I talked about today, we've talked during our weekly calls. We've helped each other with, right? What do I do with this client? How do I manage this? What should I do? And we're very different in some ways how we do it, right? I mean, the way we approach these things. So get yourself like a business friend, and it doesn't even have to be another coach, but somebody that's going to support you, somebody that's going to tell you when you're in the middle of a launch, like, chill, baby. Right, Christie? Like, chill, chill, chill. You've still got 3 days left, and life is good, right? You've got lots of other stuff. It's really, we all need that. And when it comes to helping you in your business, you particularly need that support.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
that's what,
can I say one more thing?
please.
And if it's your partner, if it's your life partner, Christy and I did, remember we did a session on how to get support from your partner if they're not being supportive with your business.
Oh, yeah.
I don't,
Yeah, investing in
do
your
you remember?
relationships. So it's in the podcast. It's season 2, season 3 maybe. If you guys go back in time, there's a whole podcast episode on how your business can
Hmm.
impact your relationships and trying to get to think about how to get the people in your life to support you because it can be a big change for them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my tip.
All right, we'll try to find it and link it into the show notes, but or below this video if you're watching on YouTube. So, Bobbi, where can people find you if they're not watching us live or listening to the podcast and they want the magic of Bobbi Palmer? How do they find you?
The magic. Read my blog because look, the honest thing is I haven't updated my website in a little while. Go to my blog. I've got like 150 articles. I don't spew stuff. I give really really thoughtful advice. So datelikeagrownup.com/blog.
Okay, awesome. And for us, for any coaches who are struggling with finding clients and just, how this whole thing is done, how do you build a successful coaching business? Come on over to coachpony.com/marketing. So coachpony.com/marketing. We've got a free 14-minute training all about how to find paying coaching clients, but in a way that suits you. You do not have to be on Instagram, you guys. Unless you want to be, in which case go for it. But we'll talk to you all about how to find coaching clients in a way that suits your personal style. So check us out at coachpony.com/marketing. All right. And with that, thank you, everyone. I'm going to play out a little party noise. And with that, we'll see you on the next podcast. All right. Bye, everyone.